You think winners are born with something you don't have. You think strong people simply feel less pain than you do. You think the ones who make it never wanted to quit the way you want to quit right now. But you're wrong. You are wrong about all of it. And that wrong belief is the exact reason your life feels so heavy. The truth is simpler and far more dangerous than the lie you have been told. The winner is not the one who feels less. The winner is the one who moves differently through the fire. There is a force that separates the person who breaks from the person who becomes, and it is not talent, and it is not luck, and it is not the family they were born into. There is something silent working underneath every person who has ever risen from the bottom of their life and refused to stay there. A quiet, invisible engine that keeps turning when the body is tired, when the money is gone, when the door has closed and the phone has stopped ringing. Most people never find it. They live their whole lives 1 inch away from it and never touch it. I call it the unbreakable frequency. It is not a feeling. It is a state of being you learn to carry no matter what the day throws at you. You do not rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of what you can endure. You are not defeated when you lose. You are defeated when you agree with the loss. And here is the part that should frighten you. The person who never masters this becomes the architect of their own collapse. Not their enemies, not the economy, not the people who hurt them, themselves. Life gets hard, and instead of hardening their spirit, they harden their heart against their own future. They quit quietly. They call it being realistic. They shrink their dreams to fit their fear, and then spend 40 years calling that peace. They stop praying because the answer was slow. They stop trying because the last try hurt. And the tragedy is that they were often one season, one decision, one changed thought away from everything they wanted. So let me ask you the question that this entire message will answer, and I will not answer it yet. When life finally pressed its full weight against you, when it took what you loved and delayed what you needed, and mocked the very faith that kept you standing, what did you become in that moment? And was it the person God was actually calling you to be? Hold that question. Carry it with you. Because everything you are about to hear is the answer, and by the end, you will know exactly why some people are broken by the same storm that builds others into something unshakable. Let us begin where every winner is secretly made, which is not on the day of the victory, but in the middle of the hardest season of their life. Because the mind that wins when life is easy is not impressive. Anyone can be grateful when the account is full and the body is healthy and the people they love are still in the room. The mind that wins when life gets hard, that is the rare thing. That is the thing kings and prophets and champions all share. And it can be built. It is not given at birth. It is built in the dark, brick by brick, thought by thought, choice by choice. The Bible tells us something about a man named Job, a man who lost everything in a single season. His wealth, gone. His children, gone. His health, taken from him until he sat in ashes scraping his own skin. And his wife, watching him suffer, told him to curse God and die. That was the voice of the season. That is always the voice of the season. Give up. It is over. The God you trusted has abandoned you. But Job answered from a place deeper than his pain. He said, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him." Understand what that means. He did not say he understood. He did not say it did not hurt. He said, "Even if this destroys me, I will not release my grip on the one who holds my future." That is the unbreakable frequency in its purest form. Napoleon Hill said that every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Read that again slowly. The seed is inside the adversity, not after it, inside it. The very thing crushing you is carrying the thing that will build you, but only for the person who refuses to throw the seed away in the middle of the pain. Most people, when life gets hard, spend all their energy asking why this is happening. The winner asks a different question. What is being planted in me right now that could not have been planted any other way? Because there are lessons that only the dark can teach you. There is a strength that only pressure can produce. You have never met a strong person with an easy past. You have never heard a deep story that began in comfort. The depth you admire in others was dug by pain they survived, and the depth you are meant to carry is being dug right now, in the very season you keep begging God to remove. Sit with that for a moment. The thing you are praying to escape may be the thing God is using to prepare you, not to punish you, to prepare you. There is a difference, and the winner learns to feel it. Think about what steel goes through to become steel. It is not born hard. It is buried in a furnace hot enough to destroy almost anything, and then it is struck over and over, hammered while it is glowing, and then plunged into cold water so suddenly that a weaker metal would shatter. Everything the steel goes through would look from the outside like abuse, fire, force, shock, and yet it is not abuse. It is the exact and deliberate process by which something soft becomes something that can hold an edge, something that can bear weight, something that can cut through what used to cut through it. And here is what you have to understand. The furnace did not weaken the steel. The furnace revealed what the steel could become. You are not in the fire because you are being punished. You are in the fire because something in you is being made strong enough to carry the life you have been asking for. And this is the part the world will never tell you, because the world worships comfort and flees from every kind of pain. But comfort has never built a single strong person in the history of the earth. Comfort is pleasant, and comfort is a poor teacher. And the people who chase only comfort end up with a soft life and a soft spirit. And then the first real storm that comes takes everything, because they were never built to hold. You do not want to be soft when the storm comes. You want to be steel. And the only way to become steel is to survive the furnace without cursing the fire. Job survived the furnace. And read what happened on the other side of his suffering, because most people quote his pain and forget his outcome. The Bible says that the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. Everything the storm took, he received back, and then more on top of it. But here is the part that matters most. Job did not get the double blessing because he was passive in his pain. He wrestled, he questioned, he cried out, he argued with God from the depths of his agony. But through all of it, he never let go. His grip loosened 1,000 times and closed again 1,000 times. And that, not perfect calm, is what faith actually looks like in the fire. Faith is not the absence of the struggle. Faith is refusing to release your grip in the middle of the struggle. And the winner is simply the one whose fingers, bloodied and tired, are still holding on when the morning finally comes. Now I want you to understand something about the mind, because your faith and your mind are not enemies. They were designed to work together. Your mind is the soil, and your faith is the seed, and the harvest is your life. When life gets hard, the enemy does not usually attack your circumstances first. He attacks your interpretation of them. He whispers a story about what your struggle means, that you are cursed, that you are alone, that everyone else was given a map and you were given a maze. And if you accept that story, you will live it out because the mind moves toward the picture it holds most often. Napoleon Hill said that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But there is a shadow side to that law that almost no one talks about. Whatever the mind conceives and believes in fear, it also achieves. The same power that builds can bury. The same imagination that can see a future can rehearse a nightmare until it becomes real. When life gets hard, most people use the single most creative faculty God gave them, their imagination, to vividly picture their own defeat over and over until they have practiced failure so many times that they walk straight into it. Proverbs says that as a man thinks in his heart, so is he, not as he speaks. As he thinks in the hidden place, the place no one sees, the thought you return to when no one is watching, that is the real you, and that is the seed of your real future. So the first work of the winner is not out in the world, it is in the secret room of the mind, where the storm has been given permission to speak, and where you must now take that permission back. Understand how the enemy of your future actually works, because he is not creative, he is consistent. He does not need to defeat you in the world. He only needs to defeat you in the interpretation. Two people can lose the same job on the same day. One walks out of that building destroyed, telling himself he is a failure, that he will never recover, that this is proof of everything he feared about himself. The other walks out of that same building and says, "This door closed because a better one is opening, and I would rather find out what I am made of now than keep shrinking in a place that was too small for me." Same event, same loss, same facts. Two completely different futures, and the only thing that separated them was the sentence each one spoke in the silence of their own mind on the walk to the car. The event did not decide their destiny. The interpretation did. This is why two people can go through the exact same divorce, the exact same bankruptcy, the exact same diagnosis, and one is buried by it while the other is built by it. It was never about the size of the storm. It was always about the story they told themselves inside the storm. And that story is not fixed. That story is not the truth. That story is a choice you have been making without realizing you were making it, and the moment you realize you are the one holding the pen. Everything changes because a pen you are holding is a pen you can use to write something new. Napoleon Hill said that the only thing over which any person has complete and unquestionable control is his own mind. Think about the weight of that. Not your circumstances, not other people, not the economy, not the past, not the timing, but your own mind, the one kingdom where you sit on the throne, the one territory no storm can invade unless you open the gate and invite it in. And most people have handed that throne away. They let the news sit on it. They let their worst memories sit on it. They let the person who hurt them sit on it, living rent-free, ruling their emotions years after that person is gone. The winner takes the throne back. The winner decides that no matter what happens outside the gate, the one who rules inside the gate is the one who bows to God, not to fear. Let me show you what that looks like in practice, because I do not want to give you inspiration without instruction. Feelings fade by morning. Practices change your life. Right now, wherever you are, I want you to notice the story you have been telling yourself about your hardest situation. Do not judge it. Just notice it. Most people have never once heard their own inner narration clearly. They just feel bad and assume the feeling is the truth. But the feeling is the fruit. The thought is the root. So find the sentence underneath the feeling. It usually starts with, I am, or it always, or I never, or this will. I am not enough. It always falls apart for me. I never get what others get. This will never change. Find your sentence, because you cannot break a chain you refuse to look at. And once you have found it, you are going to do something that feels almost too simple to matter, which is exactly why almost no one does it. You are going to replace it, not with a lie, with a higher truth, because there is always a truth above the fact. The fact may be that you lost the job. The truth above it is that the God who fed the birds did not forget the one made in his image. The fact may be that the relationship ended. The truth above it is that nothing assigned to your destiny can be taken by someone who was only ever passing through. You are not denying reality. You are refusing to let the lowest version of reality be the only version you speak over your life. If this is stirring something in you already, if you have felt that in a sentence and you know exactly what it is, I want you to do something right now that seals it. Go to the comments and write 2 words, higher truth. Just those 2 words. Because the moment you declare in public that you are choosing the truth above the fact, something shifts in the invisible. You are no longer a passive victim of your season. You are an active participant in your rescue. Write it. Higher truth. And then keep listening. Because we are only beginning to build. There is a moment in the life of every person who becomes something, a moment that almost always arrives disguised as the end. The business fails, the diagnosis comes, the person leaves, the plan collapses, and in that moment 2 roads open, and they look almost identical from the outside, but they lead to entirely different lives. One road is called resignation, and it feels like peace, but it is actually surrender. The other is called surrender, real surrender. And it feels like death, but it is actually the beginning of power. The winner learns to tell them apart. Resignation says it is over, so I will stop caring. Surrender says I cannot control this, so I will release my grip on how and hold on to who. One lets go of the dream, the other lets go of the timeline, and that difference is everything. The Bible tells us about a man named Joseph, a boy with a dream, who was thrown into a pit by his own brothers, sold into slavery, carried into a foreign land, lied about, and locked in a prison for years for a crime he did not commit. Read his story and try to find the moment where the dream made sense. You cannot. For over a decade, everything that happened to Joseph was the exact opposite of the dream he had been given, and yet he did not become bitter in the pit. He did not rot in the prison. Wherever he was placed, he became the most trusted man in the room. In slavery, he ran the house. In prison, he ran the cells. He kept becoming excellent in the dark, before anyone was watching, before there was any reward for it. And years later, when he finally stood before his brothers, as the second most powerful man in Egypt, he said something that should be carved into the mind of everyone going through a hard season. You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. He did not deny the evil. He reframed the meaning. He saw from the other side that the pit was not the opposite of the palace. The pit was the road to the palace. Napoleon Hill said that patience, persistence, and perspiration make an unbeatable combination for success. But notice what comes first on that list. Patience. Before the persistence, before the sweat, there is the willingness to stay faithful in a season that has not yet made sense. Most people quit not because they lack the strength to work, but because they lack the patience to wait while working. They want the harvest in the same season they planted the seed, and when it does not come, they dig up the seed to check on it, and in doing so, they kill the very thing that was about to grow. Look closer at what Joseph actually did in each place, because this is where most people miss the entire lesson. In the house of slavery, he did not sulk and wait for rescue. He worked. He served with such excellence that his master put everything he owned into Joseph's hands. In the prison, unjustly, wrongly, with every right to be bitter, he did not rot in resentment. He served the other prisoners. He noticed the troubled face of a man beside him and asked what was wrong. In the lowest place of his life, forgotten by everyone who could have helped him, he was still lifting his eyes off his own pain long enough to help someone else. And it was that exact act, that small kindness in the pit, that eventually became the thread God pulled to lift him all the way to the throne. Joseph did not wait to be excellent until his situation improved. He was excellent in the situation, and the excellence in the dark was the very thing that opened the door to the light. This is the secret the world will never understand. You do not become a winner when the reward arrives. You become a winner in the unrewarded years, when no one is clapping, when no one even knows your name, when you keep doing the right thing in a place where the right thing is not being rewarded. The reward simply reveals later what you already became in the dark. And if you wait until the reward comes to start becoming excellent, the reward will never come, because the reward is drawn to the person who was already excellent without it. So let me ask you the honest question. Who are you being in the pit right now? Not who will you be when things improve. Who are you being today in the unfairness, in the delay, in the season where your effort seems to produce nothing? Because that person, the one you are being in the dark, is the person your future is being built around. Bitter in the pit means bitter in the palace. Faithful in the pit means faithful in the palace. The pit does not change your character. The pit reveals it, and then it magnifies it. And whatever you carry into the dark is what you will carry out of it, only larger. Let me speak directly to you now, because I know some of you are in the pit as you listen to this. You did everything right, and it still fell apart. You forgave, and they still left. You worked, and it still failed. You prayed, and heaven still seemed silent. And a voice inside you is asking whether faith is even worth it, whether goodness is even rewarded, whether you were a fool to believe. Hear me. The silence of heaven is not the absence of God. Sometimes the quiet is the sound of preparation. When a farmer plants in winter, the field looks dead for months, nothing appears to happen. But underneath the frozen ground in the dark, the root is going down before the fruit ever comes up. And the depth of that root in the winter determines the height of that harvest in the summer. Your winter is not your punishment. Your winter is your rooting. I want you to do something with me now. Wherever you are, if it is safe to do so, I want you to place one hand over your own heart. Just do it. Feel it beating. That heartbeat did not stop during your hardest year. It kept going when you were sure you could not go on. That is not an accident. That is the evidence that something in you was designed to endure what your mind thought would end you. Say this quietly and mean it. I am still here, I am still standing, and what tried to bury me did not know I was a seed. Say it again. What tried to bury me did not know I was a seed. If those words reach the deepest part of you, take a breath and let them settle, because we are about to go into the exact machinery of how a winner rebuilds a mind that life has tried to break. Understand this. Your subconscious mind is always listening, and it never argues. Whatever you feed it with emotion and repetition, it accepts as an instruction and begins to build. This is not a soft idea. This is the most practical law of your inner life. Napoleon Hill said that the subconscious mind will translate into reality a thought driven by fear just as readily as a thought driven by faith. The mind is neutral. It is a servant, and most people have made their servant work day and night to construct the very prison they are begging to escape. Think of what happens the moment something goes wrong. The mind does not stay neutral. It runs. It replays the failure. It imagines the worst outcome. It rehearses the argument that has not even happened yet. It builds a detailed, emotional, high-definition film of everything falling apart, and it plays that film on repeat, and every time you watch it, you are programming the servant to build it. You are praying for one thing with your lips and commanding the opposite with your imagination, and the imagination always wins, because the subconscious responds to images and feelings far more than to words. The Bible understood this thousands of years before psychology gave it a name. In Philippians it says, to think on whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely. That is not a poem. That is a command for the management of your mind. It is God telling you what to put into the servant, so the servant builds a life worth living. You do not have the luxury of thinking about whatever drifts into your head when life is hard. The undisciplined mind in a hard season will always drift toward fear, because fear feels like preparation. It is not. It is rehearsal for the disaster you do not want. So here is the discipline of the winner, and it is a discipline, not a mood. When the mind begins to run toward the worst, you interrupt it. You catch the film in the first few frames before the emotion takes hold, and you cut it. And then you deliberately, on purpose, run a different film. Not a fantasy of escape, but an image of yourself standing, coping, overcoming, provided for, at peace on the other side of this. You rehearse the recovery instead of the ruin. You practice the victory in your imagination until your subconscious begins to build toward it instead of away from it. Let me give you the practice directly, because this is the part that changes lives, and I want you to actually use it, not just admire it. Every morning before the world reaches you, before the phone, before the news, before the worry, you are going to take 3 minutes, just 3. In those 3 minutes, you will not check anything. You will close your eyes and you will build, in as much detail as you can, the image of the person you are becoming on the other side of this season. See yourself steady. See yourself provided for. See the problem resolved, not by magic, but by the quiet unfolding of doors you cannot yet see. Feel the relief of it in your body as if it has already happened, because your subconscious cannot tell the difference between a vividly felt image and a real event, and it will begin to move you in ways you will not even notice toward the version of you that you have been rehearsing. And every night before you sleep, in the last few minutes when the conscious mind grows quiet and the subconscious opens like soil, you will not hand your servant the day's fear to build all night. You will hand it faith instead. You will speak quietly 3 simple declarations, and you will feel them, not just say them. I am held even when I am tired. What is mine is already on its way to me. I am being made into someone this season cannot break. Speak them, feel them, and then sleep and let the servant work while you rest. Do this for 1 week, and I promise you will feel the frequency begin to shift. Do it for a month and the people around you will notice a change they cannot explain. Because the world does not change first. You change first, and then the world rearranges itself around the person you have become. Now I have to warn you about a specific thief that comes for you precisely when life is hard, because it disguises itself as harmless, and it robs more dreams than failure ever has. That thief is comparison. When you're in your winter, and you look up and see everyone else apparently in their summer, something poisonous happens in the soul. You see the highlight of 1,000 other lives, and you compare it to the behind the scenes of your own. And you conclude that God skipped you, that you were left out, that everyone else got the blessing and you got the burden. And that conclusion, more than almost any other, is what makes people quit. But hear the truth. You are comparing your winter to someone else's summer without knowing that their summer was preceded by a winter you never saw, and that your summer is coming in a season they will never see. Everyone is on a different clock. The Bible says that God has made everything beautiful in its time, not in your neighbor's time, not in the timeline the world imposed on you, in the time appointed for your specific life, which is being written by a hand that has never once been late. The tree that takes the longest to grow produces the hardest wood. The person whose blessing is delayed is often the person whose blessing is being built larger because it takes longer to prepare a great thing than a small one. Napoleon Hill said that every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success, and I want you to notice that he did not say an equal success. He said equivalent or greater. The delay is not the denial. The delay is often the enlargement. So stop measuring your life by the visible progress of others and start measuring it by your own faithfulness in the dark. The only comparison that should ever matter to you is the comparison between who you were yesterday and who you are becoming today. Win that one quietly daily, and one morning you will look up and discover that your winter ended while you were busy growing roots, and that the summer, when it finally came, was worth every frozen day you refused to quit. If you have made it this far, if these words are building something in you, I want you to understand that you are not consuming content right now. You are in a moment, and moments like this are meant to be marked. So do two things for me, and do them not for me, but for the person you are becoming. Tap the like on this video, because it is a small physical act that tells your own mind you are taking this seriously, and it carries this message to someone else who is sitting in the dark right now, waiting for exactly what you just heard. And if you are not yet subscribed, subscribe now. Not as a favor to a channel, but as a commitment to yourself, a marker in time that says, this was the season I decided to build a mind that wins. Do it now and then come back, because the deepest part is still ahead. Now I need to talk to you about the thing almost no one will say out loud, which is the loneliness of the hard season. Because when life breaks, it often breaks you away from the people you thought would carry you. Some leave because they cannot handle your storm. Some leave because your growth threatens their comfort. And some are simply removed by God quietly because they were never meant to go with you into the next chapter of your life. And in that emptiness, a lie grows louder than almost any other. The lie that says you are alone, and that being alone means you are unloved. But listen carefully. There is a difference between being alone and being isolated, and the winner learns to convert one into the other. Isolation is being cut off and drowning in it. Solitude is being alone and being formed by it. Every single person of destiny in the Bible had a wilderness season, a stretch of time where the crowd fell away and it was just them and God in the silence. Moses had 40 years on the far side of the desert before the burning bush. David had the years hiding in caves, anointed as king but living like a fugitive, singing his psalms to an audience of stone. Even Jesus was driven into the wilderness before he began the work he was born to do. The wilderness is not a sign that God has forgotten you. The wilderness is the classroom of the called. It is where he strips away everything you were leaning on that was not him, so that when the promotion comes, it does not destroy you, because you learn to stand on the only foundation that never moves. The people who get the harvest without the wilderness are the people the harvest eventually destroys. God loves you too much to give you a weight your character has not yet been built to carry. And I want you to notice something about who leaves you in the wilderness, because this will heal a wound many of you have been carrying for years. When the crowd falls away in your hard season, it feels like rejection and it feels like proof that you were never worth staying for. But look again. Some people were only ever attached to your summer. They loved the version of you that could give them something, entertain them, lift them, cover for them. And when your winter came and you no longer had the surplus to pour into them, they left. Not because you failed, but because they were never truly with you. They were with what you provided. The winter did not cost you real relationships. The winter simply revealed which relationships were real, and that is not a loss. That is a gift disguised as a loss, because you cannot build a great future on a foundation of people who were only ever going to leave the moment it got hard. David understood this in the cave, when he was hiding from a king who wanted him dead, when he had lost his position and his safety and his good name. The Bible tells us who came to him. It says everyone who was in distress, everyone in debt, everyone discontented, gathered themselves to him, and he became a captain over them. Read that carefully. In his lowest season, David did not attract the polished and the powerful. He attracted the broken, and those 400 broken men, gathered around a rejected king in a cave, became his mighty men, the legendary warriors who would one day help him take the throne. The people who find you in your cave, who love you when you have nothing to offer, who stand with you when it costs them something, those are the people worth building a life with. And you would never have known who they were if the wilderness had not first cleared away everyone who was not. So do not despise your solitude. Do not let the loneliness lie to you about your worth. Use the silence the way every great soul before you used it. Let it drive you deeper into God instead of deeper into despair. Because on the other side of a wilderness walked with God, you do not come out weaker. You come out with an authority, a depth, a peace that the people who never went through anything will never possess and will never understand. Napoleon Hill spent years studying the most successful people of his era, and he found something that surprised him. Almost every one of them had met a defeat so complete that it looked like the end of their story. And their greatest success came not before that defeat, but just on the other side of it, often within a year or two of the moment they most wanted to quit. He said that most great people have attained their greatest success just one step beyond the point where defeat overtook them. Read that and let it burn into you. One step, not 100. 1. The distance between the person who quit and the person who broke through was often a single step taken in the dark, on a day when there was no evidence it would matter. So I have to ask you, how many times have you been one step away and turned around? How many dreams did you bury alive because the winter lasted one season longer than your patience? I am not saying this to condemn you. I am saying it to wake you, because the same tendency that made you quit before is standing next to you right now in this current hard season, whispering the same tired lie. It is over. There is no point. Turn around, and you have a chance, today, to answer it differently than you ever have before. I want you to do something. In the comments, I want you to write 3 words, one more step, because I want you to make a public promise, not to me, but to your own future, that this is the season you do not turn around. This is the storm you walk all the way through. Write it, one more step. And every time you feel the old urge to quit rising, I want you to remember that you wrote those words where the world could see them, and that somewhere out there, someone read your comment and it gave them the strength to take one more step too. Now let me take you deeper into the machinery of faith, because I do not want you to think that faith is passive. Faith is the most active force in the human spirit. Faith is not the absence of fear. Faith is the decision to act on what you believe is true while the fear is still screaming. The Bible says that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Substance, evidence. These are strong material words. Faith is not a wish. Faith is the inner substance that begins to give shape to a reality the eyes cannot yet confirm. Napoleon Hill called faith the head chemist of the mind, the force that, when mixed with thought and feeling, gives the subconscious an instruction it cannot refuse. He said that faith is a state of mind which may be induced, that you can build it deliberately through repetition and conviction. This is the meeting place of Scripture and the mind, and it is holy ground. The Bible says faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word, which means faith is not a personality you were born with or without. Faith is built by what you repeatedly allow into your ears and your inner voice. You are constructing your faith or your fear every single day by what you rehearse. So when life gets hard, the question is not whether you will have faith or fear. You will have whichever one you feed. And most people in the hard season feed the fear a feast and starve the faith to death, and then they wonder why they feel so weak. You are not weak. You are simply well fed in the wrong direction, and that can change today in an instant with a single decision about what you will rehearse. Consider what this means for the words you allow around you and inside you. If faith comes by hearing, then you must become ruthless about what you keep hearing. The friend who speaks defeat over your life every time you talk. The voice inside that has narrated your failure for so long you mistook it for your own voice. The endless stream of other people's fear pouring into your ears from every screen. All of it is planting. All of it is building either your faith or your fear. Because the mind does not have a neutral gear in a hard season. It is always under construction. The only question is who is holding the tools and what they are building. There was a moment when the disciples were in a boat in a storm so violent that experienced fishermen were sure they would die, and Jesus was asleep in the back of that same boat, asleep, in the same storm, on the same water, feeling the same waves. And when they woke him in a panic, he did not first calm the sea, he first questioned their fear. Where is your faith? Because he understood that the storm outside the boat was never the real danger. The real danger was the storm they let inside the boat of their own hearts. The wind and the waves could not sink them, but their fear could. And the same is true for you. Your hard season, as brutal as it is, does not have the power to end you. But the fear you let it plant, if you feed it long enough, will do what the season alone never could. Napoleon Hill spent a lifetime studying fear, and he concluded that the great majority of human beings are held back their entire lives not by real obstacles, but by imagined ones, by fears that never materialize, by disasters that live only in the mind and are rehearsed so vividly that they steal the courage that would have carried the person through. He said that fears are nothing more than states of mind, and states of mind are subject to control and direction. Subject to your control. Which means the fear that has been ruling your hard season is not a life sentence, and it is not the truth. It is a state of mind, and a state of mind can be changed by the same power that built it, the power of what you choose again and again to rehearse. Let me show you how the great ones rebuild faith in real time, because this is a skill, and you can learn it. When the fearful thought arrives, and it will arrive, you do not fight it head on, because fighting a thought only feeds it your attention. Instead, you crowd it out. You immediately fill the space with a truth spoken out loud, with your own voice, because your spirit responds to your own voice in a way it responds to nothing else. You say out loud, "The God who brought me this far did not carry me here to drop me." You say out loud, "I have survived every single day that I once thought would end me, and I am still standing." You do not wait to feel it before you say it. You say it until you feel it. The feeling follows the declaration. It does not lead it. This is what David did in the cave. Read the Psalms and you will see a man talking to his own soul, commanding it. "Why are you cast down, O my soul? Hope in God." He was not describing his feelings. He was instructing them. He was a king in a cave, hunted, exhausted, and he refused to let his circumstances write his inner script. He picked up the pen himself. And that is the moment a person stops being a victim of their life and becomes the author of it under God. Let me give you a night ritual that will change the way you sleep and therefore the way you live, because your last thoughts before sleep are the most powerful thoughts you will think all day. In those final minutes, the gatekeeper of the conscious mind grows tired, and whatever you are thinking slips directly into the subconscious and works all night. Most people spend those sacred minutes scrolling through other people's lives, or replaying their worst moment, or worrying about tomorrow, and then they wonder why they wake up already exhausted, already defeated, already braced for a day that has not even begun. Tonight, do it differently. When you lie down, before you let the mind wander, take 3 slow breaths, deep enough that you feel your body settle. And then, instead of reviewing the fear, review the faithfulness. Find one thing, just one, that went right today, or one time in your life when a season you thought would end, you did not. Hold that memory, feel the gratitude of it, and then speak your declarations into the dark, quietly, like planting seeds in soil. I am provided for. I am protected. I am becoming unbreakable. And then release the day. Do not carry tomorrow's battle into tonight's rest. Give it up to the God who does not sleep, and let him work the night shift while you recover your strength for the morning. Do this, and slowly, your nights will stop being the place where your fear grows and start being the place where your faith is planted. And a person whose faith is planted every single night becomes, over months, someone almost impossible to defeat. I want to speak now to the part of you that has been carrying something heavy for a very long time. Not a recent wound, but an old one. A dream you buried so long ago you almost forgot the shape of it. A version of your life you stopped believing was possible for someone like you. And somewhere along the way you made peace with less. You called it maturity. You called it being realistic. But in the quiet, in the honest moments, you know it was not peace. It was surrender dressed up as wisdom. Hear me clearly. It is not too late. I do not care what the calendar says. I do not care how many years the locusts have eaten. The Bible says that God will restore the years the locust has eaten, which means the wasted years are not the end of the story. There is a mathematics in the kingdom that the world does not understand, where a person can lose a decade and still arrive on time, because God is not bound by the clock that torments you. The people who bloom late often bloom the brightest because they carry a depth that the early bloomers never had to develop. Napoleon Hill said that our only limitations are those we set up in our own minds, not the ones set up by our age, not the ones set up by our past, not the ones set up by the people who told us who we would never become, the ones we set up ourselves and then guard with our own excuses. And the good news buried inside that hard truth is this: what you built you can tear down. What you set up you can remove. The wall around your dream was built by your own thoughts, brick by brick, over years, and it can come down the same way, one true thought at a time, starting today. Look at the timing of the people God chose to do his greatest work. Abraham was old, far past the age when the world says a story begins, when the promise of a nation finally came through him. Moses was 80 years old, a fugitive who had spent 40 years thinking his best days were behind him, tending someone else's sheep in the middle of nowhere when the fire in the bush called his name, and the real work of his life began. 80. After 4 decades of what looked like wasted time. If God had operated on the world's clock, he would have passed Moses over as too old, too broken, too far gone. But God does not read the calendar the way you do. The world sees a man whose time has passed. God sees a man whose time is finally right, because the 40 years in the desert were not wasted. They were the very preparation that made him ready to lead. So whatever number you have been using to tell yourself it is too late, whatever age you have declared as the border of your possibility, I want you to understand that God has never once been bound by it. The delay in your life is not proof that the dream is dead. It may be proof that the dream is large and that you are not yet ready to carry it, and that the very years you are mourning as lost were the years he was using to build the person the dream requires. Nothing is wasted in the economy of heaven. Not the pain, not the detours, not the decade you thought you threw away. All of it is being woven right now into a preparation you will one day thank God for, on the day you finally understand what he was doing in the years you could not see. So I want you to unbury it. Right now, in your mind, I want you to go back and find the dream you let die, and I want you to look at it honestly and ask whether it was really impossible, or whether it was simply hard, and whether you confused the two on a day when you were tired, because those are not the same thing. Impossible means it cannot be done. Hard means it will cost you something, and you were not sure in that low moment that you were worth the cost. But you are. You always were. And the winner is simply the person who decided their dream was worth the price, long after everyone else decided theirs was not. If a dream just came to your mind, if you felt it stir even a little, I want you to name it in the comments. You do not have to explain it. Just write the words, "It is not too late." And if you are brave, write the dream itself next to them. Because there is power in bringing a buried thing back into the light, and there is even more power in declaring it in front of others, because now it is real again, now it is spoken, now it has a witness. Write it. It is not too late. Let me now bring this all the way home, because I want you to leave this moment not just moved, but changed. Inspiration without a decision evaporates by morning. But a decision, a real one made in a moment like this, can redirect an entire life. The winner's mindset when life gets hard is not a trick, and it is not a feeling. It is a series of decisions you make over and over, in the dark, without applause. The decision to interpret your pain as preparation instead of punishment. The decision to guard the gate of your mind and refuse the fearful film. The decision to feed your faith and starve your fear by what you rehearse and repeat. The decision to take one more step on the day the evidence says stop. The decision to surrender the timeline without surrendering the dream. The decision to plant your nights with gratitude instead of dread. These are not grand gestures. They are quiet, daily, almost invisible choices. And they are the entire difference between the person who is buried by the storm and the person who is built by it. Remember Job, who lost everything and refused to release his grip on God, and who in the end received back double what the storm had taken. Remember Joseph, who kept becoming excellent in the pit and the prison, and who looked back from the palace and understood that the very betrayal that broke him was the road that carried him. Remember David in the cave, commanding his own soul to hope when every circumstance screamed despair. These were not people who felt no pain. These were people who refused to let the pain have the final word. And the same God who carried them is not a character in an old book. He is the living force still forming winners today, and he is forming one right now, in the very season you wanted to escape. So let me finally return to the question I asked you at the very beginning, the one I told you to carry. When life finally pressed its full weight against you, what did you become in that moment? And now you have the answer, because now you know that the moment is not finished. You are still in it. You are becoming right now as you listen, and the person you become is not decided by what happened to you. It is decided by what you do with what happened to you. The storm does not get to choose, you do. You are not the same person who started listening a little while ago. Something has shifted. You have felt it. And now you have a choice about what to do with that shift, whether to let it fade like every other burst of inspiration, or whether to let it become the first day of a mind that wins. So here is what I am asking you to do, and it is the last thing, and it matters more than all the rest. Do not let this be a video you watched. Let it be the day something changed. Go to the comments right now and write the words, "I am becoming unbreakable." Because when you write it, you are not just typing, you are testifying. You are drawing a line in your own history between the person you were and the person you are choosing to be. And when you write it, read the words the others have written too, because there is an army of people in that comment section walking the same hard road you are walking, and none of you are as alone as the storm told you that you were. And if this message reached the place in you that needed reaching, tap that like so it finds the next person who is sitting in the dark tonight, and subscribe if you have not, so that the next time life gets hard, and it will, you have a place to come back to and be reminded of who you are. Because I will be here, and we are building something together, one hard season at a time, one more step at a time, one unbreakable soul at a time. You are not defeated. You are being developed. What tried to bury you did not know you were a seed, and the winter you are in right now is not the end of your story. It is the rooting before the rising. So take a breath, lift your head, and take one more step. I will see you in the next one.